You know those hard questions about the Bible and modern living that you're just afraid to ask your friends? Well, we've got good news for you. You can get those answers right now. It's time for Change for That with Chester Proctor and Kurt Tootle. Change for That in its second season, brought to you by Ronald V. Hall Funeral Home, Vidalia Ford, the Acute Care Clinic, and Zaxby's of Vidalia. And now, here to answer your questions from a biblical perspective, Kurt and Chester.
And welcome, everybody, to Change for That. Chester Proctor along with Kurt Tootle. It is time, my friend, to get on a topic that we've been talking about for probably a month now, and that is going to be the dream interpreter. And it's not Daniel, okay? We're not talking about, but maybe similar gift here. We're talking about our guest, Amy Coello. Are you excited, Kurt?
I am. I've been excited to have Amy on for a while now, ever since I had my weird experience, a couple of weeks ago, but I'm excited to have her on. I think it'll be a great show.
Yeah, so Amy, welcome to the program. We're glad to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, we're excited. I mean, I think what you're going to bring, hopefully, to the program based on us reading about you and talking with you beforehand, you're going to bring some insight to kind of, I love weird stories, Amy, and this is, as a believer, this is just, I know it's kind of crazy to say this is weird, but to me, it just is. Is that a normal, or is that abnormal for me to say as a believer?
No, and it's so funny because anyone who comes up to me, they always say, so I had this weird dream. And I'm like, opposed from the normal ones you have, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, Kurt had an experience. I mean, I know we want to talk about dreams, and we want to get to Kurt's experience and see if you can make any sense out of it whatsoever. But tell us a little bit about what you do, amycoello.com, Coello. Tell us a little bit about what it means to be a dream interpreter. What do you do with that?
So, in order to kind of explain that, I got to go a little bit to the beginning. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but, people ask me all the time, did you have a weird childhood? Was it normal? Yes, had an absolutely normal childhood, was raised in Southern Baptist, raised in the church, and I ended up probably around 2002, 2003, my husband was working at a church in Baton Rouge, and they had this ministry coming in, and I kind of boycotted it. I was just like, I didn't understand it. I'd already been, in Bible school. We didn't talk about dream interpretation in Bible school, and, I guess we briefly read over those scriptures, and so I kind of boycotted it, and the night before the conference started, I had this dream, and that I know now is a calling dream, and it stuck with me. When you wake up and it's still there, and the Hebrew word for dream is halam, and it means to bind firmly to. To bind firmly to. And I don't know really what happened from there, but it intrigued me so much because in the dream, I saw a white-haired man come out onto the stage. He called me out of this audience, and he said, you will travel the world teaching the prophetic word of God. And it went into me like lightning, and I bent over, and there was more to the dream because after he left the stage, he said, my elder will come out and give you the rest of the word, and then Samuel L. Jackson came out on stage. So he didn't really after that.
Yeah.
And so, after that, I'd never seen the person speaking at this conference, and when I got there, it was the guy in my dream, which totally tripped me out, right? Because I have no grid for this whatsoever. And I'm a researcher. I've been in law for 24 years now, so I'm trained in research and Bible school, and I need to know specifically where it's at, what it says, and I need to study it for myself. And so I did. And what I realized was that God absolutely speaks to us and guides us, giving us divine wisdom, divine guidance through our dreams.
Okay, so you were raised Southern Baptist. As a Southern Baptist myself, have you caught a lot of flack from other Southern Baptists who might be, and I hate to use the term legalistic, but maybe they're just a little more legalistic and not as reliant on the Holy Spirit and God to speak to them through situations like this? I mean, kind of a, whoa, that's a little charismatic, get back. Have you had any of that?
No, and let me tell you why. I found this to be interesting. Where we get our flack is on when we go into the streets and we interpret dreams. Like, say, for Halloween, we'll set up a booth at a what are those haunted house things? We'll set up a booth there, and we just interpret dreams while they're all waiting in line and stuff. And we do it as an evangelistic tool. And it's amazing when people come up, to get their dream interpreted, they think it's a joke. So, they think it's funny. And then when we interpret it and they realize, oh my goodness, there's this divine being speaking to me, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of get flack on that from Christians, but individually, I'm going to say no, because we all dream. Every one of us dream. And I think we innately know that, we are the only culture in the world that does not believe that dreams come from a divine being. Every culture in the world does, except for the UK and America. And after Constantine, the whole situation, wiping out the whole Hebraic understanding, that Greek mindset came in, and then, the psychology where dreams are from within and not from, divine pull from outside of you. And we're the only culture that believes in that, interestingly enough. And so I would say no. I think everyone around me really understands. I mean, I've spoken at Episcopalian churches, Baptist churches, it's all across the board. And I think that everyone at some point in their life wakes up and goes, what in the world was that?
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Tell me, how do I know the difference between a dream that I'm having in the morning I wake up, and it might be a dream that I don't even want God to know that I had that dream? What's wrong with me? Because it's so far out there. I mean, is God doing some revealing in every dream, or are there other situations or circumstances that might cause us to have certain dreams?
Well, I've been teaching on dream interpretation and traveled internationally and have done tens of thousands of hours of research. And I will tell you that we know that dreams come from three sources. We know that they come from God. We see that in the Bible. And if you were to take all the dreams and visions, anything that references or reflects dreams and visions, it makes up 1/3 of the Bible. That would be the whole New Testament. And so we do have evidence that God speaks through dreams. Number two, we know that the enemy can seed our dreams, just like he can seed our thoughts. Not seed. He can implant things into, he tries to implant hopelessness, waywardness, and things like that. We also know that we can open the door to things that the enemy can come in. If you have, what we have found is if you have, anyone in the home has pornography issues, or maybe watching things that you shouldn't be watching, you're opening the door, and our kids actually absorb that, and then it will play out in their dreams. And as nightmares and scary things, they'll start to pick it up. And then we also see in Ecclesiastes that there is just dreaming the busyness of the day. Now then, how do we know? Well, I will tell you that if you can remember it, whether it's the whole dream, part of the dream, or just maybe it unlocks on you during the day. Maybe you wake up and you don't remember you had a dream, and then halfway through the day you see something and it'll unseal on you. And I say unseal because Job 33 says, I sealeth your instructions upon your bed in a dream, in a vision of the night. And so it will unlock on you as you go through your day. When you have memory of it, it can be interpreted.
I want to develop that a little bit more. That's interesting. I'll talk about why in just a minute. Coming back, we've got Amy Coello joining us today on Change for That. Visit her at amycoello, COELLO.com. More coming up next on Change for That.
A lifetime of love,
when the time comes to say goodbye to a loved one, it's a chance to remember their gifts to us.
Dad used to love his walks along here.
His love will be with us every step of the way.
Life moves on, but love lasts more than a lifetime.
the lifetime of love.
Memories of a Lifetime of Love, Ronald V. Hall Funeral Home.
This is Andre Christmas, and at the all-new Vidalia Ford, we understand your concerns, and we listen to what you want. We'll take the time to explain the pros and cons of your choices, as well as explain our service policies, available warranties, and options. And if you decide to buy, we'll make sure you have the best deal possible on a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. The all-new Vidalia Ford, your down-to-earth dealer. Highway 280 East in Vidalia.
Hey, babe. Is that a kickin' chicken sandwich meal from Zaxby's?
Maybe.
Wow. Is it as delicious as it looks?
Definitely.
Can I just have one tiny bite?
Maybe.
What if I do the laundry for a week? A month? Year?
Definitely.
What a deal.
Zaxby's Kickin' Chicken Sandwich Meal. Chicken fingers on Texas toast drizzled with tongue torch sauce and ranch. Served with crinkle fries and a small beverage. The best chicken sandwich ever created? Maybe. Indescribably good? Definitely.
Did you know that you have an alternative to the emergency room when minor medical issues arise? The Acute Care Clinic in Vidalia offers primary and urgent care services with easy access to quality health care 365 days a year. The Acute Care Clinic accepts Medicare and most commercial insurance plans. They provide in-house x-rays, sonograms, and lab services. Our other services include DOT and sports physicals. Stop by or call 537-9488. The Acute Care Clinic, 1608 Meadows Lane in Vidalia. Your health, your time, our priority.
You're listening to Change for That with Chester Proctor and Kurt Tootle. Visit them online at www.changeforthat.com.
Can we put you on the spot and have Kurt tell you a weird, and this may not even be, I don't know what this is. It may not have anything to do with dreams. And just full disclosure, you might say, dude, that's not me. You need to call someone else and get them to answer that. But if we could we put you on the spot and let him ask you that?
Absolutely.
Hey, Amy, this is Kurt. So my weird experience, my job is an Orkin home inspector. So what that entails is I go to different people's houses and I inspect their home from top to bottom and kind of tell them anything wrong that I see and anything that could be harmful to their house. So anyways, I went to this guy's house, and when I got there, I got to the door and I just got this overwhelming feeling of deja vu, like I had been here before. Mm-hmm. And I've never been to this man's house before at all. And when I go into the house, I introduce myself, and he introduces himself, and I just continue on about like any other normal house. So as I'm walking through the house, for some reason, this thought comes into my mind that this room I'm about to go in, if I look to the left on the wall, there is going to be a painting of a little girl. And when I go in there, there's a painting of a little girl. And keep in mind, I've never been to this house before in my life, so that kind of freaked me out that I would know that. And so I just kind of shrug it off and continue on about doing my inspection. And when I get into the living room, I have another thought like that. And I know that there would be a painting of a little boy and a little girl in this living room. So the same thing happens. There's a painting of a little boy and a little girl. And as I start to talk to this guy, I just kind of start telling him that I've got this weird feeling of deja vu, like I've been in his house before. You know, not that you should ever tell anybody that because that might freak him out. But as I talk to him, my name is Kurt Tootle, and this guy's 87 years old, and he asked me my name, and I tell him, and he says, "Oh, that's really weird. The doctor that brought me into this world, his name was Kurt Tootle, and that's kind of freaky right there." And you know, I just got married about a month ago, and my wife has endometriosis, and we're not sure if she's going to be able to have children. And this man's wife passed away a couple of years ago, and she had endometriosis, and they ended up adopting, which is what me and my wife want to do. So I'm not sure if that entails anything on your expertise or anything, but that was just kind of weird to me. What do you kind of make of that?
Okay, so what you just experienced is actually very common, and it's a phenomenon. Number one, deja vu is just the spiritual and the natural colliding together, right? Because there's no such thing as time. Time doesn't exist. And so, you know, since God does not operate in time, when you're in deja vu, it feels like you have been there before because you are, and you will be. Right? And so it is that what happens is you will enter into, it's like the spiritual and the natural kind of collide together, and you want to get to a place where you're always walking in that. And I'll tell you, my team walks in those type of incidences probably on a regular basis. In fact, we have a joke on our staff that says, if this were a dream, what would it mean? And because dream symbols, remember this, God did not create these symbols, right? All of the Bible is a parabolic language. It's the language of heaven, right? So dreams are the language of heaven because it's parabolic. Jesus came to the earth and he spoke in parables. because he was teaching us the language of heaven, how to read behind the veil. And so what happened is you entered into that place of deja vu, which is just kind of entering into the spirit realm, which is what we do when we dream, except for you're awake. And when you walk into the house, now I'll tell you this, everything that we do is a manifestation of our call. And what I mean by that is whether you're saved or not, you're going to manifest the destiny that God has placed on your life. And so even our natural jobs prepare us we are drawn to the natural jobs that prepare us for our spiritual understanding. So it's not unusual that you are a home inspector because you're probably a counselor or pastor. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm a pastor. Both Chester and I are.
Okay. So in the spiritual, you're actually called, it's in a dream symbol, a house is your life. And so you're called as a pastor to go into people's lives and clean them up and inspect and help guide and tell them where things need to be changed, right? So, of course, you're going to be drawn to that in the natural because that's who you are in the spirit realm. That's who you are in the spiritual. So now you're walking into this guy's house, right? And the reason we go into deja vu is because it's like a megaphone, and God's saying, hey, pay attention right now. Pay attention. And he comes near, right? And so we enter into that spiritual place that feels very strange, right? In fact, it feels a lot like when you're just about to go to sleep and someone kind of wakes you up and you feel this whoosh moment. It's that you're entering into that spirit realm. It's your body stays, but your spirit is actively involved in another dimension. And so here we are at this person's house, and you have a very similar experience that he has, and I believe it's confirmation telling you that what you and your wife are wanting to do, you're entering into a confirmation. God's saying, hey, I'm going to confirm this. And almost like this is where you guys will be, having adopted, being successful in that. And if as you travel and journey through this adoption process, that you feel like things are just not going right, you can always anchor it back down into the promise. God always gives us promises right before we launch into the next assignment or chapter of our life. And I'll do that using situations that I call reading behind the veil. I've got a teaching on YouTube on that. It's at Amy Coello. You can kind of read how we read our everyday symbols, everything in your life. In fact, my team now, if they get lost on a street, they don't get upset because they got lost. They immediately look up the name of the street and look up the definition of the name of that street because God's trying to tell you something. And so anything that happens outside of your normal day, pay attention to it. Look at it. If this were a dream, what would it mean? Look up the definition of it. I'll give you an example. One of my team, actually it was my co-host, she got into a car accident. And most people would be like, I just got into a car accident. I can't believe this is happening. But she calls me excited. She goes, you are not going to believe this. She said, I just got rear-ended by a guy named Josue in a Titan, Nissan Titan. I think it was a Nissan. And it was on Hebron Street in Dallas, Texas. And when you look at those things, you're saying, okay, well, what is God telling you? And this radical encounter she had, Josue, actually means Jesus. Titan means strength and power, right? And I can't remember what Hebron. I probably need to remember the story, but what Hebron meant. But it was a biblical something that happened in Hebron that God was trying to bring her attention to with strength and power. That Jesus was going to walk her through this. And it was going to be an impact.
So, did you ever listen to the show Coast to Coast?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what this sounds like to me. I mean, I believe you. I believe what you're saying, but it's kind of like it's mind blowing. I mean, is that a reaction you get to people a lot, or people give to you?
It is mind blowing. Because we can't exhaust the reach that God has into our lives, and the more we see and can look, and biblically even, we just see that God guided everything around Jesus' birth was through dreams, right? dream that she was pregnant, dream that, angel shows up in the dream and says, hey, you got to marry her. And then all of a sudden he's running from Herod, and God guides him through and speaks to him through his dreams. And so in Acts we see, Acts 2:28, we see that in the last days he will pour out his Spirit. And what we're seeing is that people are starting to move into a spiritual understanding with God, and it sometimes will blow your theology and your doctrine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I was going to say. It seems like why do you think we're, and I guess I'm being somewhat stereotypical, but especially in the West here, why are we, in the Western culture, why are we're so focused maybe on the authority of God's Word and not on the spirituality or the spiritual connection that we have through Christ and with God personally?
Well, we see all of this in the Bible. We can see all. I mean, even people will talk about the law of attraction. Well, God created the law of attraction. We see that all the way through the Bible. And so, seed time and harvest, they call it karma. We call it, sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
So we see all of those principles. It's just that right now, science and theology are rapidly closing in on each other. And I think that we still operate with that linear Greek mindset, and that is not the way of the Hebrews. In fact, I will tell you this. The Hebraic belief was that if you did not have a dream within 3 days, if you went 3 days without having a dream, there was something critically wrong with your relationship with God. And what we're seeing now is that people are really coming into an understanding that God is speaking to us all the time through symbols. And we see it through the Bible. We see the whole Bible. He didn't just create the Bible in symbols and say, okay, but leave that in that little black leather-bound thing. Don't look at it out here.
Yeah.
And we also don't serve a Jesus that says, I know every hair on your head. I hold every tear in my hand. But that 1/3 of your life where all that weird stuff happens in your sleep, yeah, good luck, you're on your own.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, let's talk a little bit. I wish we had more time. Let's talk a little bit about more of this when we come back. We got to take another break. But you're listening to Amy Coello, the Dream Interpreter, and she is. You can follow her online at www.amycoello.com. Back in a moment on Change for That.
A lifetime of love.
When the time comes to say goodbye to a loved one, it's a chance to remember their gifts to us.
Dad used to love his walks along here.
His love will be with us every step of the way.
Life moves on, but love lasts more than a lifetime.
The lifetime of love.
Memories of a Lifetime of Love, Ronald V. Hall Funeral Home.
This is Andre Christmas, and at the all-new Vidalia Ford, we understand your concerns, and we listen to what you want. We'll take the time to explain the pros and cons of your choices, as well as explain our service policies, available warranties, and options. And if you decide to buy, we'll make sure you have the best deal possible on a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. The all-new Vidalia Ford, your down-to-earth dealer. Highway 280 East in Vidalia.
Hey, babe, is that a kickin' chicken sandwich meal from Zaxby's?
Maybe.
Wow. Is it as delicious as it looks?
Definitely.
Can I just have one tiny bite?
Maybe.
What if I do the laundry for a week? A month? Year?
Definitely.
What a deal.
Zaxby's Kickin' Chicken Sandwich Meal. Chicken fingers on Texas toast drizzled with tongue torch sauce and ranch. Served with crinkle fries and a small beverage. The best chicken sandwich ever created? Maybe. Indescribably good? Definitely.
Did you know that you have an alternative to the emergency room when minor medical issues arise? The Acute Care Clinic in Vidalia offers primary and urgent care services with easy access to quality health care 365 days a year. The Acute Care Clinic accepts Medicare and most commercial insurance plans. They provide in-house x-rays, sonograms, and lab services. Our other services include DOT and sports physicals. Stop by or call 537-9488. The Acute Care Clinic, 1608 Meadows Lane in Vidalia. Your health, your time, our priority.
You're listening to Change for That with Chester Proctor and Kurt Tootle. Visit them online at www.changeforthat.com.
Well, golly, I wish we had hours to do this. We got to have you back on the program. Let me ask you this. I love to read. I'm a reader. I do a pastor's pick every month on my blog to tell people, hey, check this book out that I'm really big on. What can I get my hands on that can help me understand as a reader and help our listeners understand more of what you're saying and in greater detail?
So on my website, amycoello.com, that's Coello, or you can go to dreamsbyamy.com. If you go to that website, right now we are expanding my book in print. We're expanding it so it's not in print, but you can get the first one off of, it's an ebook. You can put it on your Kindle. You can buy that. It's a biblical understanding, a foundational understanding, and it goes through Scripture. It goes through every scripture of the Bible on dreams and visions. And you can go there. We also have a dream mentorship group that you can join. You just contact me on Facebook, and it's a private group, and we just work through dreams, and it's called Dream to Launch. And we take you from the dream and putting it into action. What is God saying, and how does this affect your life? Because Americans, we're so busy that we have a dream, and then we, put on our makeup, get dressed, and, have coffee and go. We get that. Hey, this big God of this universe is speaking to you and giving you divine wisdom. We also just launched eyes2c.org. That's eyes, the number 2, the letter C.org. This is a research project that we have going on. It's a free dream journal. I promise you, if you sign up and you start journaling every piece of dream that you have, full dream or short dream or just even a thought, it's a spiritual journal. It's not just for dreams. You've got a place in there for notes that if, you're sitting in church and your pastor thinks you said something that's just outstanding, we'll put it in there. I promise you, when you start journaling your dreams, God floods in like a storm. It's beautiful, and he starts speaking to you and pouring out to you in dreams. Go on there. If you need help, you can submit the dream for my team. It is paid to submit the dream, but the dream journal is free. But what our research project is that we know that God speaks to you individually, but what is he saying to us collectively as a body? We micro-proved our theory with the Dallas shooting, unfortunately. We had the dreams popped up in there before the Dallas shooting to let us know where the shooting was going to be, and also we came across someone that had the date and the time that it was going to happen. And so we're starting to micro-prove our theory that we, just in the times of Daniel, just like the times of Daniel, that God is the government will have to rely on the body of Christ, and we will have esoteric intelligence and information before it ever happens. And we saw it with the Justice Scalia dying.
Yeah.
We saw it there, and we also saw it at the Orlando shooting.
Wow.
And so, champion our research project. Go in there, sign up for your free dream journal. We've got weekly webinars, free weekly webinars starting this week during your lunch hour on Fridays, where we'll go take one dream and just go through it. It's free. Join us. And if you need help on a dream, just submit it. It is paid. You got to pay for it, but that helps support, the ministry and the research project.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being on the program today. I really do. I'm excited. I'm going to get your book personally, and I'm going to read it. And I want to, and I'm going to sign up for all this stuff, Kurt. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I want to see. I do. I want to see more about it. I want to learn more about it. I'll tell you, it's interesting, and we got to run. But I read through the 365 chronological Bible. As part of my devotion time, and right now I'm in Daniel. And yesterday Daniel interpreted dreams. They interpreted the writing on the wall, and he was interpreting dreams, and of course then he was thrown in the lion's den after that. But what I'm doing in my personal time, I just thought I'm a person, Amy, who says I don't believe in coincidences, and then I find myself going, okay, well, this is either a coincidence and I do believe in them, or there's something more to this, and I think we forget just how big and how powerful God is.
Absolutely. No such thing as coincidence. He has every single detail divinely mapped out for you. And that is that beautiful trust that we walk in with our Jesus.
Amy Coello, Coello.com. We'll also have all of these links on our Facebook page, and we'll be tweeting, and you can follow her on all those areas too, right?
Yep. Twitter, Facebook. Join me on Facebook.
Thanks, Amy. Got to run. Bye, everybody.
Change for That with Chester Proctor and Kurt Tootle. Brought to you by Ronald V. Assembly Hall Funeral Home, Vidalia Ford, the Acute Care Clinic, and Zaxby's of Vidalia. You can follow the show on Twitter and Facebook for your chance to win free prizes. And remember, you can submit your questions anonymously on the web at www.changeforthat.com. That's www.change4that.com. Changeforthat.com.